CBU-FM, Vancouver. Good evening, this is Mike Winlaw with a commentary on sports events. There were only 2 afternoon baseball games in the National Baseball League this afternoon, but they were both spectacular ones. A pair of 2-run home run blasts, one the 509th career circuit hit by Willie Mays, helped the San Francisco Giants whip the Chicago Cubs 5-2. Mays is a cinch now to break the National League's homer record held by Mel Ott at 511. While Mays and Jim Hart were winning the game with their 4-base blows, Juan Marichal was holding the Cubs in check with his pitching. He recorded his 3rd victory of the year, and his performance today included 10 strikeouts as he scattered 6 hits. A 2-run homer by Curt Flood in the 9th also was the key to victory for the St. Louis Cardinals. This one brought them a 5-4 come-from-behind triumph over the New York Mets. In one other game, it was played later today, Atlanta over Philadelphia 5-4, and Pittsburgh downed Cincinnati 2-1. While the Cubs were unable to score a win in the field, they did better in the wheeling and dealing that goes under the name of trading. They picked up outfielders Adolfo Phillips and John Herenstein and pitcher Ferguson Jenkins from the Phillies in exchange for pitchers Larry Jackson and Bob Boole. Phillips was the main one that manager DeRocher of the Cubs was after. He considers him the finest outfielder in baseball next to, of course, Willie Mays. Doug Sanders, one of the favorites in the Dallas Open golf tournament, shot a 67 to take the first day lead. His 4-under par gave him a 2-stroke lead over Miller Barber. Co-favorite Gabe Brewer posted a 71. In both sections of the Western Canada Hockey League semifinals, it's all even at 2 games apiece, and the 4 clubs involved will go at it again tomorrow night. The Portland Bucks and the Vancouver Canucks will resume their series at the Forum, while the Victoria Maple Leafs and San Francisco will tackle one another again in the American City. In the Vancouver-Portland section of the Patrick Cup, the 6th game will be played here Monday, and if a 7th contest is necessary, it too will be staged at the Forum. In the National Hockey League, the Detroit Red Wings went back to work today in preparation for their Sunday afternoon game start in the finals of the Stanley Cup. About the only change that Coach Sid Abel is planning involves putting Bob Wall on defense and placing Parker McDonald back in the lineup. In the semis against Chicago, McDonald saw only limited action in 3 games. Canada's hope in the American North and South Amateur Women's Golf Tournament lost out after a stiff battle today. Marlene Stewart-Street was defeated in a semi-final match by Phyllis Tisch-Preuss on the 20th hole. Miss Preuss shipped in from 65 feet away to score a birdie that gave her the hole and the victory at the 20th. She had drawn even with Mrs. Street at the 13th with the sinking of a 50-foot putt. Ingemar Johansson, the one-time heavyweight champion, suffered a cutting defeat in a Stockholm court. The court's rulings, which cannot be appealed, declared that Ingemar was a Swede when he defeated Floyd Patterson for the world title. This could cost Johansson more than $1 million in taxes. He had moved to Switzerland to escape the taxes, but now may be nicked for $200,000 by Sweden and over $1 million by the United States. The latter country is still holding $640,000 of his purses in escrow. American delegates to the International Olympic Committee meeting in Rome were shaken today when a group of Americans supported Banff's bid for the 1972 Winter Games. The Pacific Northwest Ski Areas Federation threw its support behind Banff. The federation is made up of 20 members of the American Northwest and 8 from Canada. Said the Salt Lake City delegation, which is seeking the games for Utah, quite unpatriotic. It sounds unbelievable. We won't forget this. And finally, the Portland Beavers and the Vancouver Mounties, who couldn't come to a decision even after they'd struggled through 17 innings, will go at it again tonight. This time the customers hope the struggle will be settled in Regulation 9 at Capilano Stadium. Not only were the teams tied at 5-5 at 12:50 a.m. when curfew mercifully darkened the park, but they remained tied at 1 1/2 games behind the leading Hawaiians in the Coast Baseball League's Western Division. And we've just received word that the game between the Portland Beavers and the Vancouver Mounties has been called on account of the weather, so no problems with curfew. Those were the sports highlights, and this is Mike Winlaw saying good night until Friday evening. This is the CBC FM network. Kildare Dobbs looks at the environmental critics of the New Right and the New Left, and Dr. Jean Sutherland Boggs presents Listening to Pictures, and the program The Best Ideas You'll Hear Tonight, tomorrow evening at 6:30. CBU FM, Vancouver.